Right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday morning live stream. As you can tell, I don't really want to do this live stream. I'm just sick and tired of losing games of football. We've suffered 2 football seasons of losing games, and I'm just getting fed up because it doesn't matter what the manager is, who the players are, we still keep losing games of football. And yeah, this club is just driving me through the wall, if I'm being honest with you. It's just, when is it going to get better? Is it going to happen in 4 years' time? I would love to know when it's going to get better. But this live stream, if you couldn't tell, is going to be about the Luton versus Plymouth game. We lost 3-2 at home against 10 men. And yeah, I'm going to try my best to give you my thoughts throughout the whole stream. I've got a feeling I might get triggered by a certain comment, and that's going to unleash lots of anger inside of me, because I still don't get some people's thought processes when they watch a game of football and they say certain things after a game. I know everyone has their own opinions, but I never really understand how they come to that conclusion when they watch a game of football. I think I saw a comment last night and I had to respond, and I'm trying my best now not to respond to certain things on social media, but I had to say something, and it was people going at Lassie Nordos. I don't understand how he was at fault for anything that happened yesterday. He got dragged off at half time, which I thought was completely the wrong decision. I don't understand the thought process behind that from Matt Bloomfield and the coaching staff. In fact, let me talk about the game, and then we'll just dissect people's comments in the live chat and so on. So, starting 11 was fine. I think everyone was pretty much happy with the starting 11. First 15 minutes, very cagey, not many teams looking after the ball. We had the better passing, success rate out of the two teams. When I went through the starting 11 and after the game and looked at how good the passing was, the players had over 80%, so the passing was okay. It was more not winning your battles. It was more not winning the second balls, not winning the third balls. That's exactly what Plymouth did really well against us. Even with 10 men, they won everything. The loose balls, when we put a cross into the box, all over the pitch, in fact. Something which we've got to get better at, because if you don't, it's all good controlling the game with your passing ability, but if you don't win your battles across the game, across the pitch, then you're not going to win the game at all. You might get a draw, but you're not going to win it. That's for sure. So that's something that definitely needs to be worked on, and I'll talk about that a lot more in my video that comes out later today. But yeah, we didn't win our battles across the pitch. We give away such a silly goal. I have watched the highlights back. Sky posted a 4-minute highlight video. I don't think the club have posted the extended highlights yet. But Sky posted the 4-minute highlight video from the game. And I thought Kadir originally was in the wrong position for the first goal. He wasn't. He was in the correct position. His actual standing position was completely fine. He just didn't check his shoulder. He was ball watching, and the ball just went over his head, and he's not checked his shoulder. And if he checked his shoulder, he would have noticed there was a player there that he needed to be a little bit more cautious, and that player had a free header at goal. He couldn't miss. You shouldn't be having a free header in the 6-yard box. And yeah, they went 1-0 up. It was a good response from us to get back into the game, getting the penalty. I still don't know if it's a penalty. It's one of those ones where you see it happen every single game, but they hardly ever get given. It's one of those weird ones where you don't really see it on a week-by-week basis. But we got given it. There was a clear arm on Nordos. I felt the player didn't really need to do it. He won the header originally, but he obviously flung an arm at Nordos in the process. And then we got the penalty. Yates scores it. Fantastic. And then we do pile on the pressure. There was a lot of times where we were putting in the cross into the box, and we were nowhere to be seen. I think Chris Makosso, he's the one in defence, and in our team, I would say, is probably the weakest in terms of his passing. His best pass all game comes from him making a really good run into the box, and he plays it across the 6 yard box. And that's where you need a Nordos. That's where you need a Jerry Yates for a tap in. And there's no one to be seen. And then I think from that resulting pass, it ends up falling to Ali just outside the box. And he fires a shot in, keeper with a routine save. But it was just more half chances. It was more putting balls into the box, but with not really any intent, with any bit of quality. Hardly ever shooting at the keeper. I thought Plymouth's keeper, if I'm being honest with you, is one of the worst goalkeepers I've seen in a very long time. And yet, we didn't trouble him at all. We didn't make him be a busy goalkeeper. He was gifting us corners. He was gifting us the ball back. And we weren't taking advantage of it, especially in the first half when he was doing it a lot more than the second. And then knowing the fact that he doesn't claim crosses that well, in the second half we didn't pile on that pressure, which I just found it really insane. And I have a lot of question marks on the players itself on why we're not troubling, the goalkeepers a lot more. Why we're not doing a lot more in terms of just being a threat in the opposition box. And I said it in my match reaction, it's like we're trying to score the perfect goal all the time. And I don't understand why we're trying to do that. Why can't we score scrappy goals like how Plymouth did for the third goal? I don't get why we can't do that. I don't feel like we've scored a goal like that in a while. In fact, I think Cardiff away was the last time we did it. When you have a shot, it ricochets, and then Asgard was in the right place at the right time for an easy tap in. That's what I want to see a lot more often, but we just don't seem like we have the capabilities of doing it. And then we concede such a stupid goal before half time. And Zach Nelson, yeah, he has to put his hands up. Yes, he is young and he's inexperienced, but you can't be playing with the ball about just outside your box there. Easy finish for the Plymouth player. We've gifted them 2 easy goals there. And then, obviously, Nordos comes off at half-time, which I still find absolutely insane because we carried on crossing the ball into the box in the second half. Naki Wells comes on. Nigel Longvite came off because he was on a yellow card, so I understood it. But still, it didn't get better in the final third. I don't think we lost the game due to tactics, formation, starting 11, which people keep banging on about on social media and also in my comment section on my videos. Tactically, we were fine. Starting 11 was fine. Formation was fine. We were causing them problems. What wasn't good was the in-game decisions, like taking Nordos off at half-time, like not bringing on another striker on the pitch when Plymouth go down to 10 men, because all we were doing was putting crosses into the box. And when you've got a 6-foot-plus striker on your bench in Joe Bode, you need to bring him on. He's an absolute, he's a unit, he's a beast, very strong, tall, powerful, quick. Bring him on. I would have had him on because it was like playing with 10 men when we had Jerry Yates on the pitch, because he's doing my head in. I don't get why he's performing the way he's performing. But yeah, it's hard to really describe how I'm feeling towards him at the moment. But where was I? Yeah, we get the goal back, second goal, equaliser from another penalty. Kadir, I've watched it back. I guess the new rule this season is if you're going to constantly hold on to a player's shirt, then the referee will give a penalty. I think that's the new rule. It's a weird one because, again, you don't often see it. You don't often see these penalty shouts. But the referee gave it. Naki Wells took it, 2-2. And then you think, right, we're going to score that third goal. Plymouth go down to 10 men. From the view from the stand, it was a clear red for me. We don't have the right angle on the highlights, but even when you look at it from the highlights, the way the player's gone in, it looks high. The studs are up. So yeah, I can understand why the referee gave a red card. The linesman had a perfect view of it. He wasn't blocked at all. So he would have seen it instantly and definitely would have communicated with the referee on that red card decision. But yeah, they went down to 10 men, and I think that's when it started to go even more downhill for us, because we just don't know how to play against 10 men. We don't know what to do. When a team puts 10 players behind the ball, I feel like we just struggle. We've always struggled. I don't get why we do. Why we don't have like a game plan when teams go down to 10 men. I think it just made it life really easy for Plymouth. In fact, Plymouth had massive amount of advantage when they went down to 10 men, because I honestly feel like if they had 11 players on the pitch, we'd go and win that game. But because they went down to 10 men, that's why we lost it. And that sentence in itself is absolutely crazy, by the way. I shouldn't even be saying that sentence. But the fact that I am saying that sentence, it's just mind-blowing how I just don't want us ever to play against a team that goes down to 10 men. It's meant to be an advantage, and it's just not for us. It's never an advantage, it's a disadvantage. But yeah, their third goal, the third goal pretty much summed up the game. How a team that didn't have many chances at goal was gifted was gifted 3 goals, which is just insane in itself, and then get scrappy goals, and then the other team just unable to break them down clearly. It's just a pain. It's a pain, and I don't know if it's going to get better. I don't know if we're going to bounce back next week against Lincoln. Knowing us, we might actually do bounce back against Lincoln. But then what will happen is the fans will ask Matt Bloomfield to do the punching thing in the air after the game celebrations, which I just find really cringe now, because it's losing its actual value of it. The whole point of punching the air and celebrating with the fans is because you've just got a really good win. You're trying to build a really good atmosphere on and off the pitch. Yet 1 week we do that, the next week we're booing him, wanting him to be sacked. So we need to stop this now. If we win against Lincoln, clap the fans, that's it. I don't want none of this punching thing in the air, because until we go on a decent run of form, that's when you start doing it. That's when you show really good togetherness. When you get a difficult win, like going to tough places and getting results, that's when you do it. Not like when we win a game of football. Nah, I don't want to see that anymore. I really don't, because for me, it just makes it look really, really cringe. But anyway, let me read out your comments in the chat. So, morning, Jelly Belly. You've put feeling awful after yesterday. Same old story of not being able to finish even against 10 men. I know the feeling. G1K2, you've commented saying, blimey, a right comedy of errors yesterday. Maybe time to play in green again. Need to be much better to get anything from Lincoln away next Saturday. 100%. Mark, you've put panic. The third goal was definitely panic. I couldn't believe it. I don't understand why we panicked clearing the ball away, and it turns out it was Clark actually that panicked with the clearance. I thought it was Cal Naismith. Maybe Cal Naismith would have had a bit more composure in that moment, but Clark, he didn't need to panic and get rid of the ball that quickly. Like, Keeley could have grabbed that onto that ball, and that third goal doesn't happen. To be fair, the third goal shouldn't happen in the first place anyway, because the goal came from the resulting corner when Keeley kind of just calculated the ball going back to him. I don't know what it was. It was a moment of stupidity, but it was 3 moments of stupidity that lost us the game, unfortunately. Richard, you've put mismanagement continues. For me, it's more in-game decisions that was impacted, that lost us the game. I think we were set up correctly and we were set up to win the game, but in-game decisions just not good enough. Gareth, who is a Cardiff fan, has commented saying, I feel for the Luton fans, the squad on paper, at least it's better than this. It really is. Luton fan number 1 has commented saying, bringing Nordos off was a mistake. If Matt Bloomfield doesn't rate him, why didn't we look to sign another target man rather than Naki Wells and Yates? We should have also brought in a quality specialist left wing back. I did put in, in my deadline day review and also my summer transfer review, that I was, a left wing back for me would have gave me even more confidence. Bramall came on. He must be fit. He must be ready to go. So I don't know if there is an argument for him to start next week. I don't think it should be the same name starting. I think now we've got to see some real changes in terms of the starting 11, because I do think, some players that have played quite a lot, like your Clarks, like your Allies, for example, they are also not having good games. So that can't continue. We can't just be starting them. They shouldn't be guaranteed starters. I don't think, when I look at this starting 11, right now I'm struggling to actually tell you who is a guaranteed starter. If I had to pick one, right now I would definitely say Savills a guaranteed starter, but the rest, their position should be up for grabs. There hasn't been good enough performances from majority of the players. Saville, for me, has performed over the last couple of games. I thought he was the best player on the pitch against Plymouth. In terms of actually winning the ball back, I felt he was the only one that was doing it. But you can't just have one player in your whole team doing it. You need everyone, contributing. Mark, you've commented saying, this is why I never got too excited after the Burton game. Hatters Dave, you've commented saying, unpopular opinion. We did a lot right yesterday, but what we did wrong, we did really wrong. We created enough to win, but mistakes at the back and an off day up front was a pretty disastrous combo. I agree, Dave. I'm more leaning towards what you are saying in terms of moments of stupidity at the back, and then not being, clinical in the right moments up top. I also felt, though, although we did create some chances, I don't think we created clear-cut ones. And then the argument I would probably say is the half chances which we did create. We do have the quality in this squad to take those half chances, but we're not doing it. So, for example, Yates with that deflected cross, he didn't get that that shot on target from 7 yards out. Naki Welsh with the header went over the bar. That should have been on target. Chris Makosso in the second half, he had a really good header, good leap, good connection with the ball from the cross. I think he hit it straight at the keeper. I would be extra critical on that and say he should actually have scored it. In fact, I would like to know what Chris Makosso's XG is. Now, I know people don't like XG, but I think it's worth noting the quality of chances a player has had and how many goals he probably should have scored. So let me just have a quick look, because I do think since the start of this season, Chris Makosso's had quite a lot of good opportunities and he's kind of like not taking those chances. So let me just have a quick look here. So Chris Makosso. Oh, no. Right, so looking at his stats. So he's played 5 games. So according to the stats, he should have at least have had 1 goal. So he's had 11 shots, 3 on target, but he should have at least have scored 1 goal according to his XG. That chance yesterday, was that the one? He's had 3 headers. Yeah, I feel like he should have scored that chance. Martin, you've commented saying Nordos was the best player on the pitch. Their number 4 could not handle him and would have seen red if Nordos was kept on. The way their number 4 was pulling him. Yeah, he was constantly, pulling him all the time, wasn't he? Hats Dave, you've also commented saying those calling for the manager to go and those voices are growing are just wrong. We need to give him time and see if we can get things clicking consistently. A new manager means starting again. I also think it's the completely wrong time to get rid of a manager. We've just backed Matt Bloomfield with 14 new signings. A new manager then gets given a squad which isn't his squad. There isn't any good ones out there. You're going to pay money to get rid of Matt Bloomfield and his coaching staff and then also hire a new coaching staff just after a summer window. It just doesn't make any sense. Of course, if this does carry on, that, with what I'm saying, if it does carry on, what's happening, and we are miles away from playoffs, we're miles away from the top 2, then the club have to do something, because you can't waste the season. You just can't. He's had more than enough time, and what's really frustrating is when you see what Cardiff have done. Cardiff's managers had a lot less time than what Bloomfield's got, but yet there's a clear style of play, and Cardiff are playing very well. So why are we not at that level? And truthfully, we are meant to be a better run football club than Cardiff, because I still think their owner makes awful football decisions. And we're at the moment, it feels like we're just miles apart. It really does feel that way. And it shouldn't be. It should be a lot closer. The gap should be a lot closer than what it actually is right now. But yeah, I don't agree with changing a manager now. I think things are a lot better than what they were under Edwards. I think fans are not being patient, and they don't have to be. And I understand why they're not patient, because we've had back-to-back relegations. So you're not going to be patient. And we are now in a league where I do believe we should be not controlling it. I think we're a championship team. But right now, we're not performing like how a championship team should be. Historically, we are a championship club by where we've finished across the divisions over our club history. And we celebrated our club history by 120 years by losing at home against Plymouth. It's a real shame. It really is a real shame. But yeah, things have got to get better, but I don't think sacking a manager is the right thing to do. Rob Edwards, the football under him was just terrible. The amount of times teams would walk over us, they would create chances, and we hardly ever looked like we could score a goal. At least with Matt Bloomfield, teams most of the time have to work hard to score against us. And two, we are getting into the final third a lot more. We are getting into these final, areas where we can show a bit of quality, but we're just not. It's not clicking. That final piece of the jigsaw is just not there at the moment. I'd rather be in this scenario than the Rob Edwards scenario, but that doesn't mean Bloomfield has, excuses. He has time. That means he needs to fix it soon, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Northside, you've commented saying, I'm glad you mentioned Chris Makosso, because I felt he kept trying to pass to either Ali or lob it to the strikers, but never to Zach or to Kadir. His passing for me needs to improve, because I think there's a lot of good things about Makosso. I think physically he has the attributes to be a Premier League defender, but technically he's nowhere near it. And that's what we need to improve on. Roman has commented saying, had some confidence after the Burton game, but the performance yesterday was just sad. Traveller UK has commented saying, I'm excited for Luton's next games. They will win lots of matches if they stop making defensive mistakes, which isn't difficult, and if they can put their chances away, which isn't hard. Well, we're making it very hard. Lack of being clinical. Great win for Argyle. It was a great win for them. I can't, knock it. Fair play to them. G1K2, you've put on the LTFC audio commentary, they remarked our attacks lacked enough of variation as the game progressed. Also, they thought Plymouth worked us out and defended well. Yeah, they did. I think that comment is pretty spot on, really. I think there wasn't much. We were very one way of playing, and we didn't change it up, and that's why I was very vocal on why don't we shoot from outside the box, because anything can happen when you shoot from outside the box. When you've been given a clear enough amount of space to shoot, deflections, anything can happen when you deflect a shot. Apart from when Ali decides to kick it out for a throw-in, we hardly ever did it. And that was the really frustrating thing. And then when we were getting the ball out wide, and Plymouth sussed this out quite well, actually, they double-teamed our, wide players. So our wide players were never, ever 1v1 with a defender. Ali sometimes got it, but Morris on the right-hand side, may I add, never got it when he came on. Kadir as well, hardly ever got 1v1 with the defender. So it's a real shame. Darren, you've commented saying, not sure I'm with you on the starting 11. I think we need Naismith. Yes, he's not been great, but his leadership and communication helps the younger players with their positioning. But I don't think he would have made a difference. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think him starting would have made a difference. I don't think Anderson did a bad job against Plymouth. Um, but yeah, the thing is though, I just don't think you can have a player that is not performing. You know, I've spoken about Clark and I've spoken about Ali, two players that have always been guaranteed in the starting 11. Well, they're not performing. So we can't be having these players that are, playing week in, week out, not performing for us. We need more consistency in our performances, and I don't think before the game Naismith deserved to start. Yes, he brings the leadership. Yes, he brings the communication. But if you're not performing, why you can't be guaranteed to start because you're club captain? Teams have worked out Matt Bloomfield. We play wide all the time, and they double up on us out wide and strangle our attacks. We need to be able to play through the middle, something which we've not been able to try and do. We did against Burton play through the middle, but against Plymouth we just didn't do it. Darren, you've commented saying also Clark is no captain either. Yeah, probably. It's really hard. It's really hard to say who's a captain and who's not because you just don't know how they act, in and out of the dressing room. Danny, you've put worst game so far. Alex, you've put Jerry Yates was what a waste of space. Start producing or put him with the youngsters. Explained to Ali he is a winger, not a striker. His shooting leaves a little to be desired. To be fair, he is a winger, isn't he, Ali? He's definitely not a striker, but he's quality in the final third. I'm now understanding why he's not a championship player. I'm understanding why he's a League One player because there's just no consistency in the final third for him. Overhit crosses. Of course, he has fantastic dribbling ability, fantastic pace, but when it comes to a shot, half the time it's not right. Crosses are not right, so the output needs to be better from Ali. So there's still plenty of work to be worked on. He isn't the finished article, of course, but yeah, there needs to be a lot of work to be done there. Harry, you've commented saying there's no variation in our attack, always going down to the left where Kadir and Morris has massive amount of space to run. Yeah, I do agree with that. Jerry Yates makes appearances for show. Luton Lad, you've commented saying I've only listened on the radio and don't think I've heard Clark's name mentioned. Kevin, you've commented saying we haven't had a balanced squad for years. Ali isn't a wing back, he's a striker. He is not a striker. I'm telling you now he's not a striker. He's a winger and he didn't play wing back. What people don't understand with the starting 11, we're not playing wing backs anymore. Out of possession, it's wing backs. In possession, it's wingers. When we've got the ball, Ali and Kadir are pushed so further forward. It's ridiculous. To the point where Chris Makosso and Nigel Longvite have got so much space to run into. We're not playing with wingers like we have been in the Championship. It's a lot more attacking this year. So Ali is playing technically as a left winger. If you was to look at the stats and look at his heat map, you would see he was heavily playing as a left winger. He's not a striker. I'm telling you, he's back to play is not a striker material. If he's a striker, then I'm a professional footballer. That's how I'm going to say it. Because he's definitely not a striker for me. I can just tell by the way he plays, he's just not a striker. We've gone from being masters of the set pieces to Sunday League. That also needs to be reflected. How many corners did we have? I don't even know how many we did get in the end. But to not create that many chances from corners. And I said in my match preview, Plymouth were really good at defending them. But, oh my God, we make life so difficult, don't we, from set pieces. Let's have a quick look. We had 16 corners. How many chances did we create from those 16? I can only think of one. And that was... Actually, can I even think of one? I don't know if the Chris Makosso chance came from a corner. I think it did. That would be the only one for me. James, you've commented saying... I couldn't believe I read on social media people criticising Saville. I agree with you, Lewis. Always 7 out of 10 and yesterday our best player. apparently Savile as well, after the game, he was I think fans were given stick to the players, and then Savile was just, I think, told him to like F off. Like, Savile's been here for 5 minutes. Savile's played for Millwall for what, over 6 years. Now, he understands what putting in an effort is for a football club. Millwall fans won't accept lack of effort. So I can tell you, Savile's not afraid to tell Luton fans to F off if they give him a load of stick. So I did see a few comments online about that. And people need to remember as well, some of these new players have been here for 5 minutes. Some of them have only played one league game for us. They're not the reason why we're playing in League One. A lot of these players now are not the reason why. And I do think people are blaming the back-to-back relegation on some of these players, where not all of them contributed to the back-to-back relegations. You kind of need to separate it. If you want to unleash a lot of anger and pain about why we're playing League One football, you point to the board, because they should have made certain football decisions a lot sooner, and we wouldn't be playing in this level if they did. Gareth, you've commented saying it would be bizarre to sack a manager at this stage. You have to get to December and January, at least, then assess it from there. I think Matt's going to have at least until November, December. If we're not in the playoffs by then, I don't see him. I just don't see it recovering, because fans won't accept it. We had it in the conference. First year back, we had this sort of arrogance about us. We're too good to be in this league. And then we went through this cycle of sacking managers every single season. And I've got a strong feeling it's going to get to that. And I hope it doesn't, because you can't just give a man... You can't go through this cycle. I really hope we don't go down this route. But I just don't feel comfortable sacking Matt Bloomfield now, because I don't believe the board can get it right. Firstly, that's my first point. I don't think we can get the right manager right. The board's history of hiring managers since they've been in charge of the football club isn't exactly great. It's not a good success rate. So I don't trust them to get the right appointment, and two, I just don't think it's the right time. DR's commented saying, surprised we didn't put Walsh on. He has some creativity and could have done something different. Yeah, I found the Zach Nelson sub very strange, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, was it the Zach Nelson sub? I'm not going crazy, am I? Yeah, who came? Yeah, the Zach Nelson sub in the 85th minute. I didn't get it. I didn't get the Anderson sub either. I don't know if Anderson had a knock. Taking Nordas off and continuing to lump crosses into the box, expecting Wells and Yates to jump out, to out-jump their defenders was criminal. Yeah, I didn't get it. And that's why I pointed fingers at Matt Bloomfield on, you've got a 6-foot plus striker on the bench, you've got a striker on the pitch that's not doing anything. Why don't you just take off Yates and bring on Joe Bode on? Why was that not a clear and obvious sub to make? And I was screaming for that to happen when they went down to 10 men. I was like, we have got to do it. Because I know what teams do when they go down to 10 men. We've all watched football. I've been watching football for many, many years now. Every time a team goes down to 10 men, they don't try to win a game of football. They're trying to hit teams on the counter. It depends on how good the squad is. But 9 times out of 10, when a team goes down to 10 men, they sit back, they're compact, they play in a low block, they play with 4 defenders or 5 defenders, and then 4 players in front of those 5 or 4 players, and they say, come on then, break us down. And they play in such a compact unit. They double up when they've got to double up. They head things out. They throw their bodies on the line. That's what teams do when they go down to 10 men. And we must be just one of the easiest teams to play against. And like what people have said in the chat, there was no variations in the way we were trying to play. It was just one way of playing. Get the ball out wide, cross the ball into the box. No try to attack through the middle. None of that. No having shots outside the box, which could take a deflection, which I still find absolutely criminal that we are scared to shoot. I know Ali had a couple of attempts, but I'm finding it very difficult to call those attempts because they just went out for a throw-in. Alex has commented saying, I've lost a comment. Alex, you've commented saying, what was the point of putting Morris on? He did not get the ball at all. They double teamed him as well out wide. Why am I getting this stupid thing? Right, here we go. We had 16 corners. If we aren't in the playoffs by December, it's going to get ugly for Matt Bloomfield. Yeah, I 100% agree. Are you still thinking we can get promoted or playoffs? Danny, at the moment, I'm thinking it's mid-table at best. We've still got to do a massive amount of improvement. I have been speaking to people that are not Luton fans, so just to get like an outside perspective opinion on us, because people do watch our games that are not Luton fans because they just love football, and the people who I've spoken to do think we are going to click, but it's just taking a bit longer to click. Maybe we'll start clicking around October time. The problem with us is we are so slow starters. When you look at the seasons which we've won promotion in, so the conference winning season, we started very slow. The League One title winning season, we started very slow. In the promotion winning season from the Championship to the Premier League, we didn't get going until Rob Edwards came to the football club. So traditionally, we have actually been slow starters when we've had successful seasons. But it doesn't feel like we're going to get there. Like in those seasons, especially the League One title winning year, I still had something inside me that felt actually there is something there about us, but we're not there yet. Whereas with us at the moment, I don't know if I'm in that type of headspace. I don't know how to really describe it. Took off Nordos. Why? Should have said to Bode to just occupy their centre-backs, cause havoc, as we had Wells and Yates to pull the strings. To be fair, Bode had, 5 minutes? Phil, you've commented saying Ali is an Irish professional footballer who plays as a striker for EFL League One club Luton Town, and you used AI to basically to put that comment in. Phil, I highly recommend you to have a look at where he played for Halifax, which was left winger. Have a look at where he played for Exeter, which was left winger. And have a look at where he's played majority of his games for Luton, out on the left. I don't need chat AI. I don't need a little machine that generates false information at times, which just basically reads off websites. I use my eyes. I use my research. I've looked at video clips of him playing as a left winger on multiple occasions for multiple clubs. He's a left winger. You can tell straight away. And then when he has played as a striker for our club, he looks non-existent. Doesn't look the same player. So I'm telling you for a fact, he might be able to play there, but he's a left winger. Kevin, you've commented saying, in League One, the teams that win are the teams which make the least mistakes. Our system is suicidal and it invites mistakes. Coaches and managers need to execute the basics first. Jones got that. Nathan Jones, for me, and I don't care what anyone says, is one of the best managers in Luton's history. Don't care that he left us twice. Would I take him back for a third time? Yes, I would. I love that man. That man just got Luton. Him and Luton just got each other. And you're seeing what he's doing at Charlton. And I'm telling you now, Charlton are going to stay up. I think they're above Wrexham in the Championship, which isn't a surprise to me, despite the amount of money that Wrexham has spent. Charlton will stay up. And then what will happen is Nathan will build on it. And what he's got at Charlton is a lot more than what he had at Luton. In terms of the facilities, the infrastructure, Charlton have more, I would say, more championship foundations as a football club. As someone who, as a football club that's played in the Premier League a lot more, as a club that's played in the Championship a lot more in recent years, they've got more of foundations put in place for Nathan to really exploit and really build on. And he's now just producing. And Charlton fans have finally understood it. I finally got to understand what Nathan Jones is all about. But I love that man. And I would drive to Charlton, I'd drive to his house, and I'll go, Nathan, come back. Whatever you want. I'll give you foot massages, I'll give you anything. Please, come back. Phil, his official position is not a striker. His official position is a left winger. It's not. He's someone that can play as a striker, but his official position is left wing. It has been for multiple clubs. Harry, you've commented saying, do you think our defence looked shaky without McGuinness in the centre? No, I don't think it did, if I'm being honest with you. They had 3 moments, guys. They had 3 moments. I don't remember anything else they did. Like, Keeley didn't have a shot to save, I don't think. That's what I mean. It's not... I don't see what... There wasn't really issues in defence. The problem is we just had 3 stupid moments of defending, and they've basically took advantage of all 3 moments. Anthony, you've commented saying Clark was dreadful all game, like a headless chicken. He can't take a corner for love or money. Should have been a penalty for the challenge on Ali. Yeah, that's what I find absolutely crazy. The most clear and obvious penalty the whole game was given as a dive. How that makes any sense, I do not know. That's what I find absolutely insane. But the referee was never, ever going to give 3 penalties. And looking back on it, he actually should have done. The Zach Nelson one definitely wasn't a penalty. I think Zach was quite weak in that. That's just the player using his strength. Simon, you've commented saying the conference arrogance is already here. It's a nuclear reaction after every setback, Lewis. I know, Simon, it's doing my head in. That's why I'm not tweeting anything. That's why I'm not saying anything online, because I can't be bothered. Some things I have to let out, like I did about Nordos yesterday, because I just couldn't believe the stick he was getting. I was like, how on earth is he getting stick, when he was actually causing an impact more than what the other strikers and the attacking players were doing. I found it mental, but yeah, I'm staying off social media. The only time you're going to see me on social media is advertising my videos. That is it. I can't, not when the fan base is like this. I just can't do it. We have been scared to shoot since last season. It's like we're going for the highest XG chance, which is just stupid. Yeah, I do agree. I find it absolutely mental. I don't know why we don't shoot on sight. A team of 10 doubling up on Morris, and we still couldn't break Plymouth down. Yeah, 100% agree, Lee. Slow starting, and we have great players to come back. Elijah Adebayo, Al-Hamidi, Odofin, Walters and Brown. And that's without, Izzy Jones as well. He's on the verge of coming back soon. But yeah, there's so many good players coming back. But the problem is, I don't want to wait for these players to come back. I want us to start clicking. I don't want us to waste games. And I feel like we are wasting games. We are wasting important matches, which we shouldn't be. Neil, you've commented saying, was Anderson injured yesterday? Couldn't work out why he was substituted with Bramall, which led to Ali and Bramall were getting into each other's way down the left and lacked cover in the middle. Yeah, I didn't get the sub. People around me did notice Anderson. He basically ran back to shield the ball out of play to give it to Keeley, and I think he was hobbling a little bit from that. I'm not 100% sure if he actually got a knock. But even so, what we should have done is, we should have gone to a back 4 at that point. Bramall could go left back, Ali could be left wing, but then what should have been the sub? Who came on for... Yeah, it was Bramall for Anderson. Yeah. And yeah, just go really compact, add an extra midfielder, push Savile a little bit more forward. I'm trying to work out in my head what the formation should have been at the time when changing it. But yeah, Bramall should have been left back, Naismith and Makosso as the centre halves, with the right back would have to have been Morris, but then you could have just told Morris to just go further forward and then just had them as the back 3, with Bramall being more of a left-sided centre half and sticking back a little bit more. But yeah, it felt really weird, the formation. Lee, you've commented saying agree with you, Lewis. The difference now is there is no identity and players look bemused on the field. Neil, you've commented saying, morning Lewis, do you think a manager like Warnock would be better fixed for us? Has a plan and stands for no nonsense? No. Uh, Warnock, no. I think you've got more chance of winning the lottery than the Luton Town Board hiring Neil Warnock. Darren, you've commented saying, if they are doubling on the wings with 10 men, it leaves space through the middle. We needed a Walsh to try something different. I think the coaching staff needs to be looked at. Yeah, I think the football decisions we made in-game was just poor. Taking off Zach Nelson, taking off a central midfielder, didn't make any sense for a striker. That didn't. I couldn't get my head around it. Yesterday's game's disappointing, not acceptable. Nathan Jones should have been gone too long. I'd honestly be taken back, 100%. Nathan Jones, good manager. He's good with tactics and changing tactics during the game. We were behind and we took the risk of taking off Mans, Anderson, as they were not really good, not really going to hit us on the break. It was just a calculated risk, but thought Walsh would have been better than Bramall. Yeah, I think we should have done something else. I didn't get the subs. I really didn't. We've had worse times. 5 years in the conference was terrible. It was, but these back-to-back relegations are also terrible, and losing more games in League One is not exactly helping the situation. Go to a back four, you are funny. Wickham fan said he tried a back five and failed and he had to change it. We're not just letting him do it despite the failure. Well, hang on a minute. So Wickham were already playing a back five when they had Gareth Ainsworth. So when Matt Bloomfield took over, they were already playing a five. So he was playing a five at the start and then he transitioned to a four. His preference is not a back five. And the reason why I'll tell you this is because Joe Jacobson, the former Wickham player who played under Matt and also played with him, spoke about formations in a interview. He did it with Ollie from OK Football, and that video is actually out on YouTube. And basically, Joe Jacobson says in that video that Matt wanted to transition from a 5 to a 4. They mentioned that in the video. So I'm telling you, like, his preference isn't to play a back 5. What this is going to happen is this is slowly going to transition to a back 4 eventually. But right now, it's just not going to happen. When you go from different formations, different systems, it just takes time. Even when Nathan Jones started playing with a back 5, that took time. We didn't instantly go to a back 5 straight away. So when we stayed up in the championship, the following season, so the COVID season, that season, Nathan Jones was experimenting with a back 4 and a back 5 formation. And then the following year, we kind of started to recruit to play a back 5 system, got those players in. But because Nathan Jones was getting results and was, performing well, you're going to get given that time to transition a formation, transition to a different football system. Whereas with Matt Bloomfield, he's trying to do that a lot quicker, but because he's trying to do that a lot quicker, it's not quite working. We are losing more games, and fans are not going to give him that time. They're not going to be patient because you're not winning. You're not doing what you need to do first, which is win games of football. That's how you keep yourself into a job. So we are eventually going to get there, but only if Matt Bloomfield has the time to do that. And if it's not Matt Bloomfield, it'd be a different manager. And I'm telling you now, the way I think the football club is going to go, they are going to transition to a back 4. From what I know and who I've spoken to, I know the plan is to eventually transition to a 4. Whether or not it's going to happen under Matt Bloomfield, I don't know. But under a different manager, I think it will happen eventually. Because we've signed the players that fit the mould for a back 4, that fit the mould to play with wide players. But we're just not, I think we're missing a few things, like in terms of that final ingredient in order to do it. So I think eventually it will happen. How quick, I don't know. The players in the squad are strong, but too many are being asked to execute roles that they are not natural for them. Over coaching and over tactical analysis. Keep it simple. I think the attacking thing needs to be kept simple. I think we're trying to overcomplicate it in attack. I think everywhere else on the pitch, I think we're fine. I think it's that final bit. I think in the attack we're not. I think we're overcomplicating it there and overcoaching it, or whatever we're doing. That's the problem. Richard, you've commented saying we still haven't got a prolific striker that can score 20 goals. We've got 3 at the football club that have proven that they can do it. So when people say to me we don't have a striker that can do it, we do. Yates, Wells, Al Hamadi. It's 3 strikers that have scored 20 goals in their careers in seasons. They can do it. Like, we're not going to sign another one, especially when we're not even creating clear-cut chances. So, like, this idea of a prolific, goal scorer, we've got them. We need to give them the service. But at the same time, they also need to do better with the chances that they are getting and show a bit of quality, like they had yesterday. Like Naki Welsh with that header, which should have been a lot better. Like Jerry Yates with that cross-deflected shot, which should have done better. But yeah, Al Hamadi, we'll soon find out when he comes back from injury. Jacob, you've commented saying your question is, how come Rob Edwards is doing so well with Middlesbrough but didn't do the same for Luton? Because he's got a better assistant manager. That is why. And I believe it's the assistant manager that's actually doing the success at Middlesbrough. Rob Edwards is a player manager. He's the one that puts his arm around the players. He loves them. He looks after them. He gives them that confidence that they can achieve what's being asked from them. Whereas his assistant is more tactical, more technical minded, and does all the analysis and does all the tactical decisions and so on. So it's a perfect balance between the two. At Luton, I don't think that his assistant managers actually helped him tactically. I think they all agreed with each other. They were all yes men in that coaching staff, because some of the tactical decisions we were making were absolutely shocking. So I do not believe it's Rob Edwards making these tactical decisions at Middlesbrough. It's his assistant, and Rob Edwards is basically saying yes to him and putting his arm around players and giving them that confidence, that love which they need to fulfil the tactic and fulfil what they need to do on the pitch. That's kind of how I see it at the moment, and it'd be interesting to see what happens when it starts going wrong for them. But that's what I kind of believe. I think it's more the assistant manager doing the job, and the assistant manager is the former Coventry City assistant manager under Mark Robbins, who helped Coventry go from League 2 all the way to the Championship and just missed out on the playoff final against us. So yeah, for me, he's the one that's making the decisions, not Rob Edwards. I think Matt Bloomfield can do it, but guess we need more time, which I don't know if he's going to get. Lee, you've commented saying, am I the only one thinking Al Hamadi is not the answer? He hasn't looked great at Ipswich. I disagree with that to a certain extent. I think it's very harsh to judge him on what he did at that football club. When he first arrived, he scored, I think, 5 goals in 13 appearances, which averages 1 goal every 3 games. And then they got promoted to the Premier League, which he was never going to play after being playing from League 2 literally like 6 months before. And then they got relegated and he hardly featured at the start of this year. So I think it's incredibly harsh to judge him from what he did at Ipswich, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, that's kind of how I view it. And wow, we are nearly 1 hour into the live stream. It has gone very quick, very active. Thank you for the comments in the chat. It helps, with this stream going as quick as possible. I hate talking this negative about this football club, but they do, drive me insane. But yeah, I've got the Southampton versus Portsmouth game on at the moment. Going to be watching that. Plenty of football on this evening. I think you've got the Manchester derbies that on in the afternoon. You've got Liverpool v Burnley as well. I've got a lovely date of playing Football Manager, prepping a YouTube video and watching the football this afternoon. And then I'm going to eat a pizza because I'm depressed. So yeah, that is my plan for today. Let me know what your plans are in the chat. How do you cope with a Luton defeat? Let me know in the live chat. But yeah, honestly, I just cannot wait for Luton to just go on a run of form and produce some magic and start performing like a team it can do. But yeah, I am going next week to Lincoln. Don't ask me why, but I am going to Lincoln away. And we're going to have a bit of luxury against Lincoln because the way we like to play our football, Lincoln will be open. They're going to want to win the game. They're in good form. I think they're in the playoffs. So that's a good test. They've started the season off well. But yeah, let's see what happens. Hopefully we can bounce back. You know, at the moment, every time we've lost, we have bounced back. Can we do it again for the third time? Bounce back. Lincoln are 7th on 15 points. They're just outside the playoffs on goal difference. And then it's Wigan, who are 8th, who we beat. And then it's us. And then it's Stockport. I didn't realise how bad Stockport started the season. At least we're not the only ones. James Collins, he's at Lincoln. Yes, he is. I guarantee you he will score against us. I would put money on him scoring. Been supporting Luton for 41 years and you get used to it. I don't think I ever will get used to it. I like to think that losing games of football, I would be used to it by now. But no, I don't think I will be. It's just, I don't think I've ever seen a normal season supporting Luton. I think we've had one boring year, and that was during the COVID season, where we all watched the games from home. And we finished, I think it was 12th, wasn't it? That's the only boring season I think I've had watching Luton. That is mental. Everything's either happened since I've properly been going to games, since the age of like 12, regularly. We've never ever had, we've had one boring season since I've been, since I was 12 years old. I'm turning 26 this year. So for 14 years, 13 out of those 14 years, we've done something. Something's happened, whether it's a relegation, whether it's a promotion, whether it's competing for playoffs, staying up, manager change. Something has happened. It's mental. Luton don't do mid-table, and you can go back to the 1970s. It's just mad, isn't it? It's just mad. But anyway, I think I'm going to end the live stream here because the Southampton versus Portsmouth game is about to start, and I would love to listen to it and watch it properly. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. Much appreciated. I am making a video later today, which will be out. So make sure you go and watch that. I think that will be out after the Manchester derby at around 6, 7-ish time. And then, I don't know what videos I'm going to do next week. I might make a video on Matt Bloomfield because I think that it's a hot topic at the moment. So I'll talk about him and, produce loads of videos next week. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.